Joel?
Yep,
Oh, that's your lab.
Yep, that goes right into our what we call our lab or our clean room there.
So we'll cover a little bit on what that looks like. This, I mean, it's just first class. It's just everything's just excellent. It's first class. That's what do you call that area? That's in the lab right there, right?
Yeah, that's where we're assembling the cancer screening test kits.
Yeah. And not only cancer, right? Are you going to talk anything about the new stuff you're doing?
Yeah, I mean we're and I'll share just a little bit about this later, but we just launched our first COVID-19 at-home test kit, and we have just signed three major contracts with healthcare providers across the nation to distribute those. I'll sneak that back in a little bit later in our conversation, but man, just some amazing things are happening. And we only launched this company a year ago.
Amazing. Absolutely. This is the area that you have your meeting and your teachings and trainings.
Right. That's where we do. That's where we do our training. That's where even on the weekends, I open it up to people that want to come in that I know personally, of course, people like you, Tracy, and others, to come in and do conferences and seminars, especially as things open up a little bit more. And I designed it specifically for that. At that point, when that picture was taken, that wasn't the finished product. It has an amazing audio visual presentation and features, and that built into that room right now that is top of the line.
We're going to convert this room to influencers accelerator on one night of the week, and then another night we're going to convert it to a studio for podcasts and TV filming in OC. So that's going to be great. And then this is also that room.
Same room.
Love the color.
Seats about 200, and that's from the very entrance of the building, in one of the customer lounges there, kind of looking out through to the lobby there.
Isn't that beautiful, guys? Isn't that just amazing? And it's all just, I mean, just first class. I love working with the first class. It's absolute excellence. Absolute excellence. All right, so we'll get into this thing because I know people are ready to learn from you. And so let me just get my notes here about Joel Luce. Joel and I, we've known each other for what, over 15 years, right? I'm gonna spot
about 20 years. About 20 years.
20 years we've been doing things together, and
there we go.
Joel is he's one of the most creative people I know is in business. I mean, I don't know if he may be an artist, but he's like really super creative when it comes to business. I mean, he's like the guy that like I said in the last session, if you see opportunity, if you see chaos, he sees opportunity. If you see mess, he sees productivity. He sees something is going to come out of it is going to bring increase in wealth. And so we just want to welcome you, Joel. Thank you for connecting with us. Joel Luce, he's the CEO of Bridgecom Communications and Previon Health. It's a healthcare software and services. Yep. The official name, healthcare software and services. And again, like you said, he only launched it a year ago, and you can see kind of out of the box what things are happening. And he's someone that talks about transformational leadership, being a person that transforms environments, transforms companies. Joel, you took over a company, and we'll get into other questions in there, but you took over a company, 15 years ago?
It was, let's see, 16 years ago. And when we bought our first company, yes.
Okay, and the first company was what was the name of that one?
The name of it was ABG. It was a very large regional printing company, and that was sort of my background. Was more in direct marketing and printing and advertising and all of that. And so you may be a little confused because you just saw a company that said healthcare. Yeah. So you talk about transformation. I'll talk about that a little bit, how you can go from one thing to another that may not even be related and still have success.
Yeah. And that's because you're a generalist leader. It's because it's kind of leader that you are. You don't get stuck in corners. You're a leader that's able to handle whatever's coming your way. All right, so we're gonna open in prayer and we're gonna release this. So Father, we thank you for Joel. Thank you for this opportunity to learn from someone that you've been teaching, you've been training, someone that you've been guiding in his business to take it from where he started to where he is now. This is the second company, the first company as well, Bridgecom. Lord, just so many things that you can release through him. And we thank you. We're going to receive everything that we have need of, everything that belongs to us. We receive that today in the name of Jesus. Amen. Excellent. So Joel, so tell us how a person can, transforming from leadership, transformational leading and gaining great gains and profits. How can you recognize where you are right now and what you should do right now?
Yeah. You know what? I before I answer that question, I've got to say something about Tracy Armstrong. First of all, thank you, Tracy Armstrong, for being my friend and one of my dear friends.
Love you, man.
I've known Tracy, and I know many of you have known him for a long time as well. I've known him for 20 years, and I'll never forget one of the first times I met him. I ran home to my wife after seeing him in a meeting. Ran home to my wife, and I said, I just met this guy. All he did was holler at me the whole time, but I loved what he said. And she said, well, what did he say? What did he say? And I said, well, between half of the hollering and all the points he made, it changed my life. And it really did.
Wow.
By meeting you, Tracy Armstrong, it changed my life. And that's why we're probably such good friends today, because we made an intentional exchange.
Yes.
In our friendship and in our family relationship. Yes. And I just appreciate you, man. I love you.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to be with you today. I know everyone that's listening, I've noticed a few people I recognize on the screen. So if I've seen you before, hello, good to see you again. And I'm just happy to be here today, Tracy.
Thank you, man.
Talk a little bit about some of the topics that we're going to discuss. Probably would help a little bit more, just a little bit more on my background, because people look at where I'm at today, but they don't know where I came from.
Very good.
So I think for you to fully understand someone and to really get more out of what that person might say is if you really know where they came from and where they're at today. And just don't think where they're at today is just magically happened or happened overnight, because none of it does. I don't care who they are.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's through persistence and as believers. And I love the subtitle to your Champion Summit is Christian Achievers.
Yeah.
We're believers.
Yeah.
We have something to believe in that's greater than what this world can offer. That's really what can propel us into our destiny and into our future, and to help us do things we would never be able to do.
Yes.
So for 10 years when I was younger, I was on drugs. I was on alcohol for 10 years, and finally broke out of that. I ended up in a divorce. I ended up bankrupt, but I didn't have to stay there, because I made a conscious decision to say, Lord, I have to change. Yeah. And when I met him that night, I met him on August 15th, 1992. And I don't care if there are unbelievers listening, because this is going to be replayed, and that's fine. But you know what? When someone has done something so great for you, how can you keep it inside? How can you not let it go out? How can you not share it with everybody that you come in contact with? Most of the conferences and the speaking engagements and the things that I do, they're not believers. But you know what? I still use the same biblical principles. Right. I still use the same examples. Excellent. I still use the same stories. Yes. You have a story. Yes. You have something to say that is going to transform someone's life. Do it. That you can do it. I know you feel like you can't sometimes, but you can. Because I was a shy, backward boy from Texas. Wow. And that's why I used the word hollering earlier, that Tracy was hollering at me, because that's what we say. But You can do it. I was shy and backwards and ended up in a really bad place for a long time. But through the grace of God,
Mm.
he pulled me out of that. And you talk about transformation. That's what transformed my life. And then through that, I think then the creativity that you talked about, Tracy, and the things that were already there.
Yeah.
It's he placed good things in our lives, giftings in our lives
Excellent.
from the beginning of time,
Yes.
that we should walk in them,
Yeah.
that we should do them, that
Yes.
we should do the things that he predestined for us to do.
Yes.
They're already there.
Yeah.
You have to tap into that, but you've got to be in the right place, and in the right mindset,
That's
and
right.
have the right heart to be able to walk in those things. And that to me is where transformation takes place.
Yeah.
And recognizing where you are. And I think that's what I did. I think I was 30, 29, 30 years old at that point. I recognized where I was and I didn't like it, and it was time for a change. I
Yeah.
needed to recognize where I was. And I think for all of us now, even coming out of 2020, moving into 2021, let's recognize where we are, personally
Good.
and professionally.
Very good.
And I want to break those two things apart a little bit as we go along here, Tracy.
Yeah. Excellent.
To recognize where you are is to not uh, to not understand that you had past failures and past defeats and past losses, but it's not staying there, because you can create your future. Tracy, you and I talk about this a lot, to where when we recognize and accept those mistakes and those decisions that have got us to this point,
Yes.
then we can say, okay, now I need to change this.
Yeah.
Now I can move forward with doing something different than I did before. So I want to encourage everybody, let's do something different
Yeah.
in 2021 than we did in 2020. 2020 is over, thank God, but 2021, I believe, is going to be the best year you have ever experienced in your life. Get ready for 2021. You are going to experience increase. You are going to be fruitful. You are going to have favor, and you are going to multiply in
Yes.
2021. The power of life is in your tongue.
Yes.
The power of life is in your tongue.
Yes.
Stop hanging around people that are speaking death.
Oh, come
But
on.
come,
Come on. Come
I
on.
feel this today. Start speaking life over every situation. They might seem dead, but speak life into it, and
Oh,
realize where you're at. Even if where you're at is not where you want to be. So you know what? I'm coming out of this. I'm not going to be like this. I am going to do the things that I feel in my heart and in my spirit that I'm supposed to do. I'm called to something greater. I'm called to something bigger. You know it because you're on this call. You're doing on a Saturday now it's Saturday afternoon. You
no.
Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and you're going to spend tomorrow all day just ingesting all of this because you want to change. You want things different. You want to improve. You want things to be better for you and your family, your business, your career. And
Yes.
I want to see that for you as well.
Yes.
I don't take these things lightly, Tracy. I prepare. I know Colin prepared. I
Yes.
know your guests tomorrow, your speakers tomorrow have prepared. They
Yes.
care about you. I care about you. Tracy cares about you. We want to see you win. We want to see things better in your life. We don't want them to stay the way they were in 2020. We want to see difference in 2021. And it will happen by recognizing where you are personally. I want to tell a quick story about my wife. My wife, when I first met her, and I'll get into some business stuff.
No,
Hey,
go and do what you do, man. Do what you do.
I'll
This is great.
I'll
I'm
get
going to
it.
mute and I'm going to let you go. Just let me know when you want to get back.
Tracy's right. I came from an evangelist preaching family, and I ended up in business. I said, well, I missed my calling. I ended up in business. I wasn't a preacher. I wasn't a pastor. But my dad is 86 years old, and he still preaches in his church once a month. And I just spent time with him over the holidays, and he told me, he goes, Joel, he goes, don't forget what your title is. I said, what do you mean, Dad? He goes, you're the CEO. I said, yeah, I'm the chief executive officer. He said, no, 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 no. You are the chief evangelistic officer in your company. Don't you forget it. Don't you forget. And I was like, Dad, I love you being my dad. And, but at 86 years old, he's still doing it. And I told him, I said, man, if I can look as good as you at 86, I'll be happy. I will be happy to do that. But my wife, when I first met my wife was divorced and she was young. She was in her early 20s. And she came out of the shame of getting pregnant as a teenager. And she tried to make it right by marrying that person and ended up having a second child. And she's in her early 20s when I meet her. A couple of years later, I meet her. And what amazed me about her, and Tracy and Natalie knows Jamie very well and knows her story and knows my story. But what amazed me about meeting my wife was that she was not bitter, she was not negative, but she had joy. She had just a lust for life. You never heard a negative word out of her, and that was the main, other than her being beautiful, that was the main thing that attracted me to her, was she understood where she was a few years earlier. And it was not a good place to be in an abusive, physically and emotionally and mentally being abused, and with two small children, and trying to figure out, how do I get out of this mess? And I know some of us, sometimes we feel like we're in a mess we can't get out of, but I'm here today to tell you, you can get out of it. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to give you some things to help you get out of it today. And it's through, that's why we rely on God, because it's through him and through us speaking truth and speaking life, that helps people break out of situations and circumstances where they do need that help to get out of them. So when I met her, and that was so attractive to me, and I had to ask her, within like 6 months of dating her, how can you be so positive? How can you be so happy? And she said, Joel, I determined in my mind and I determined in my heart not to live in the past anymore, not to be dictated by people who don't even know me, care about me. And there could be even people that are dead in our lives that we're still angry at. We've got to let that stuff go, and even let 2020 go. Let's go into 2021 with a new vision, understanding where we're at and where we want to go. And I'm going to give you some tools and some things I think that will help you get there. But that the way that she communicated that to me was amazing. And I said, we got to get married. I mean, I couldn't get married fast enough to her. And she had 2 kids, and she said, you are crazy. You're going to marry a young girl with 2 kids. And I said, you know what? I'm in love and I can't help it. We're going to do it. So anyway, so to understand and accept where you are, recognize where you are today. If you don't do that, then you can't change where you're going. So if you recognize where you are, then you can begin to put a plan in place, put goals in place to change your future. And listen to me, when I was in my early 30s, that's all I did. And I've been in business now for, my goodness, almost 30 years. And I've seen increase after increase. Yes, we've had hard times sometimes, but the increase has been there. But as I think about it, transformation resulting in greater gains and profits. To me, sometimes a greater gain is not money. A greater gain can be more peace. I would rather have more peace than more money. I know, Tracy, and you know this, I know men who own $20 million houses who have no peace. I know men who are multi-millionaires who can't even digest their food because they're under such stress. There is a balance. There's nothing wrong with making money and making a lot of money, and I'm all for that. I work to do that, but I work to do it for a reason. But there is a balance that all of us have to find in our lives, and recognize where we are, recognize where that balance is, and understand that you can get up and you can change your future, and you can have the dreams that you and your family have always imagined that you can have. and you can have them, but understand, start where you're at. This is personally, and then professionally as well, doing the same thing. But I'll stop there in case you have a comment or question.
No, I think I'm enjoying this. So if you so you recognize where you were, and one of the things that I love is that you're telling your story about recognizing socially where you were. You needed a wife. You needed someone in your life that would help you. That was a good recognition. I needed that recognition too. Needing that you needed a partner
Yeah.
in life, not just in business, but a partner in life. And of course, you have friends. We've been friends, like you said. We're really close friends. And then you have, your relationship with your wife and your kids. I mean, you have really good relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love the fact that your kids either now or at some point have worked with you.
Yeah.
And I think even what I love is that a lot of the people that work with you, they've been with you for a long time. How long has Dan been with you?
Dan's been with me for over 30 years. He's
Over
the
30 years.
president, chief compliance officer of our company. Um, there's a lot to be said for placing extreme value on relationships. They're everything. What we do together, what we do for one another, is priceless. I mean that really should be the focus. If you really want to gain, if you really want to see increase in your life, focus on relationships. Focus on what you can do. Now, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but professionally also um, understanding where you are professionally. You don't have to be a business owner, but just in your job, your profession, you might be a manager. You may have a team that's under you, but understanding where you are, understanding what's working, understanding what's not working. We talked. You showed the Previon pictures of me launching Previon last year, and when I had the idea to launch Previon, because we were in corporate communications, we were in corporate marketing and advertising and other things like that, and made a pivot, a shift to more healthcare communications, which led to at-home testing. So I approached our executive team about 2.5, 3 years ago and said, look, it was more than an idea. I knew that God was birthing something in my heart, that in a direction that we needed to go to see explosive growth. And I saw the landscape of what was happening out in healthcare, and we already had some healthcare clients. But what I realized and what I told our team was, I said, we have to get rid of the old to make room for the new. Sometimes in your life, in order for you to get to the next level, to really see the gains that you want to see, you've got to get rid of the old to make room for the new.
That's right.
You're never going to see the increase or the fruitfulness or the multiplication or the favor that you want to see sometimes until you move out the old and make room for the new.
Yes.
That's what I did in launching Previon. We had a lot of business. Some of it was very profitable, some was less profitable, but I knew we had to take out some things. But there are, and we had to take out some people too, to really be honest.
Yeah.
I had a couple of executives on my team that had been with me that were not on board with the vision I had, the direction that I wanted to go. And as a leader, no matter what you're leading or who you're leading, what capacity you're in, even if you're at home, you're still the leader in your home. Whether you're a mom or a dad, you're still a leader in your home. And even if you're younger, you still have aspirations to be that leader. And people have to get on board with that vision. And so we let go of a couple of executives, very hard thing to do. But so for the rest of the team to get on board with the vision, and we had to let go of some things and get rid of the old. And that came to me. I realized that we were never going to go to that next level. We were never going to be able to accomplish the things that I wanted to do with Previon until we got rid of the old. Yeah. There are some people in your life that you need to let go to make room for some new relationships. There are things, there are habits, there are things in all of our lives, not just all of our lives, that we need to get rid of to make room for the new. And I believe as believers, as Christians, God is saying that to us as well. He said, there's some things that I want you to get rid of so I can do some new things and bring some new things into your life. But you're not making room for them until you get rid of the old to make room for the new. And that's what I felt where we were, even personally, but professionally in launching Previon. Once I did that, then things began to happen quickly and begin to take off. And just like I said earlier at the very beginning, some people may have missed it, but we launched Previon a year ago. We do cancer screening test kits. We just launched COVID at-home test kits. We just signed a almost $30 million contract with several customers nationwide to distribute COVID-19 test kits to healthcare organizations nationwide. And that's just the beginning. We had a 5-year plan to hit $100 million in revenue on Previon. We've revised that plan to do it in 36 months based on where we're at and what we've done. But it took some hard decisions.
This is a 1-year old business. You're talking about.
Yes, but it took some hard decisions in getting rid of that old to make room for the new. If I would have held on to the old, if you think about it, I've worked with, and Tracy, you know this, I've worked with Fortune 500 companies for years, and as clients. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in massive meetings with executives. One time with the executive team that worked for Rupert Murdoch. And all it takes is one person that is negative, that is I'll just call it a jerk, that doesn't want to go along with the vision, that can destroy a company and where you're going, or destroy a vision that you have. And there could be people around you right now. And all it takes sometimes is just one individual in your life speaking negativity over you instead of speaking life, like I talked about earlier. And so sometimes you really do have to separate yourself from that. And I'm not just talking about positive speaking and positive thoughts and all of that. It's much deeper than that.
Yeah.
It goes much further than that. But I just want to encourage everybody, think about things in 2021, right now here in January. What do I need to do? What is hindering me? What old things do I need to get rid of so that God can do something new in my life?
Excellent. So no, Joel, that's great. This is so powerful. I want to just posture a little bit, because you took over ABG. ABG was, at the time, you were top sales. You were the top salesperson in the company, making good money. You approached the owner. I want to buy it. Yep. They kind of laughed at you and said, "No, I don't think you can buy it." And then you said, "Tracy, I really want to be the owner of this." And so you positioned yourself and postured yourself, walked into the office again, said, "I want to buy it." And they said, "Well, let's go to golf, play golf." And then you went and played golf, and they said, "Well, how are you going to buy it? We know how much you make. You can't. It's $50 million company." But you were so much. You recognized not only where you were, but who you were. I mean, in order for you to identify that, you needed to recognize who you were. And I'm gonna say a bunch of things, and I'm gonna let you just kind of spit out whatever you want to say in response to it, because I want to just posture this. Because I've watched you, and you skip details. You give over. You're like, yeah, we got this $30 million thing, but the fact is you took over this company just shortly after. I mean, you're doing direct mail for Disney, for Direct TV. You were doing fulfillment for these companies. You were doing printing and things for, Kaiser Permanente, I think Kaiser or some of that. Yeah. And so, and you had some help only in the forms. Then I saw you buy this company that was printing and fulfillment. And then I saw you change it into software. Yeah. And you did that. This is, again, we're going on recognizing your theme, right? Your recognized theme. You recognized somewhere that printing was making a shift, and you didn't wait until it shifted you saw that you were in a maturing business, a
Yep.
maturing market. You started to make a shift, and you found that the one thing that you could still do in that industry, which printing industry, that still brought you money, that
Yep.
was still low hanging fruit. It was easy for you to enter, which was the duplicate copies for the printing for the hospitals or for insurance companies or whatever it was. Is that right? You had the three, what they call it, duplicate copies.
The business forms and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
business forms.
Yeah.
Well, you stayed, that kept you in printing. You sold off some of the business, but then you started pivoting to this, and this was all before pivoting was even popular, right? Pivoting. Everybody talks about pivoting now, but Joel's been pivoting for 25, 20 years. He's been constantly pivoting because every time he sees something maturing, he doesn't wait till it's mature. He always can have it. He has a futurist mindset, so he
Yeah.
sees further than where he's at right now. He's never stuck with where he's at. He's always dreaming about what's coming up next. He's always he finds himself in circumstances where he recognizes what's coming, but he also recognizes what's working now, and so he doesn't throw away everything. And he identifies what's working now, and then he identifies what's going to be working in the future, and he bridges those things. He brings those two things in the same space, and he maximizes. That's what that generous leadership we need. This He's like Joel to me is the future of what we need in business, to be a generalist leader. You put me in medical, I'll do it. You put me in communications, I'll do it. You put me in football, I'll do it. You put me in whatever I can lead. And I'm going to give you a chance to speak again but I want to keep posturing this for a second. Then I watch you go from, you transition from a software, and you started to deal more in the communications, right? And developing software communications for people and how they communicate to each other. And then a few years ago, your mother was diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
And there was this idea of, I don't know how you came to it, and that's why I want to, because you also again recognize something.
Yeah.
You recognize things in something that could be painful. You always recognize opportunity, and something that could be challenging and damaging. You
Yeah.
recognize the outcome that could be positive.
Yeah.
And so in that, your mom, of course, she did it with, she lived a woman of faith. She did
Right.
it with faith. She graduated with faith. She did everything in faith.
Right.
She did it with little pain. I think you were saying she had hardly any pain.
Yeah.
But because she had so much faith, they didn't catch it as early as they wanted.
Right. That's right.
Because she didn't have pain.
That's right.
But it caused you to know that if you had something to help people diagnose it quickly,
Yeah.
then you could actually help.
Yeah.
And so what you did is you actually started saving lives by creating this
Yeah.
detective,
Yeah.
I'll let you give the qualifications of it. But that again postured you for 2020, the fourth quarter of 2020, when home testing for COVID needs to happen. And in WWE is coming, and all of these places, Carnival Cruise, they want to get people on their cruises, and they need to test people quicker at home.
Right.
So guess who's ready? Who has all the systems in place? I mean, I'm your fan, bro. You are my hero. Because you are actually prepared before stuff happens, because you pay attention. I hope I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm really trying to posture people to understand. You're hearing Joel, but you're not getting the fact that I've been watching this for years. I've watched this guy one step ahead of everything, because when he's in a moment, it looks like something's deteriorating. He's not used to losing. So he recognizes, if I'm losing something, I must change. I must transition, because I'm not used to losing. And because Joel is not used to losing, I can preach you all day. Because Joel's not used to losing, he recognizes when something's stealing. He recognizes when something's shifting. And so what most people don't do is they don't recognize when something's shifting, because they're so used to losing. They're comfortable with losing. They're comfortable with things breaking apart. Yeah. And so, Joel, how did you recognize the shift that was happening in the market when you bought a company that was flourishing?
Right.
And then, it has business in your fulfillment. You're fulfilling for DirecTV and Destiny not Destiny Channel. DirecTV, that's mine. Yes, we're going to do that. Destiny, DirecTV, and Disney Channel. When you're fulfilling for them and they're prospering, how do you recognize when you need to start shifting?
Well, the things that we did 20 years ago for those big corporations when I bought the company, it was $50 million. When I first came to the company, it was a very small company, and helped grow it to that $50 million, and ended up acquiring it because I was making more money than the owners as a sales guy. And but through the course of that, and learning and understanding new things in fulfillment and digital communications, I realized when the recession hit back in '08 that this is going to go south quick.
Mm.
All of these physical communications that you get in the mailbox are going to go away. All the statements and all of the things that you don't do anymore, and you do it all online, are going to go away. And so I'm thinking like that in 2008. Within 2 years, I sold three of our companies within 2 years, and took our company literally down from 50 million to $8 million. Now
Wow.
that's a hard thing to do,
Yeah.
but sometimes you got to go small to go big,
Yeah.
because otherwise I would have went from 50 to zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I would have rather went down and
Excellent.
intentionally do it, knowing that, look, this trend is going to fall off the cliff here in at some point, because everything went electronic at that point, Tracy. After '08, '09, budgets were slashed, and so recognizing, um, not only trends, but just recognizing, uh, just from common sense, really,
Yeah.
that with the internet, we're not going back. Telehealth is here to
Yeah.
stay.
Yeah.
You're going to be talking to your doctor on Zoom
Yeah.
forever now.
Yeah.
You're rarely going to go in, only when you absolutely have to go in.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing at-home tests like what we're doing more and more and more in the future.
Yeah.
And so just recognizing those things and making the hard decisions to pivot, as you said, to change, to transform what you've been doing, whether it's a company or personally, it doesn't matter, but to recognize, I've got to change. I've got to shift what I've been doing, because what I've been doing is not working.
Yeah.
And so we need to do something different that will work.
Yes.
And not, I don't want to say that everything we've done has worked. It hasn't. But in general, for the most part, they have. Because we do a lot of studying. You talk about knowledge. You need a lot of wisdom, and you need a lot of discernment to go along with that knowledge as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would rather have wisdom and discernment than information,
Yeah. Very good.
because I'm gonna get a little further down the road, and I'm gonna end up in a better position if I have more wisdom. How do you get wisdom? There's wisdom in the counsel of many.
Yeah.
It's doing things like this.
Yeah.
How do I transform where I'm at today? And by talking to others who've been there and done that. By,
Yes.
by being on these conferences and summits for 2 days,
Yeah.
things like this, and talking to people like me
Yeah.
who had done this for 35 years, and launching out and doing new things. But then when you talk about my mom, when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, we were already doing cancer screening test kits. But as you said, she was a woman of great faith, never really let on to how sick she was. And so at the end, she went pretty quick and passed away. But here's the beautiful thing about that. I dedicated myself and our company to getting out as many of these cancer screening test kits to as many people as we possibly could. And we have sent out literally tens of millions
Wow.
of these test kits, and we have saved
Great.
hundreds of thousands of
Wow.
lives. I
Wow.
mean, literally saved
Wow.
hundreds of thousands of lives, people that are living today that wouldn't have been living.
Wow.
And I look at that as a testament to my mom,
Yes.
her legacy,
Her
the
legacy.
heritage that she gave me. And so take things like the recession, take things like the death of a mother or a loss, and try to find and see through those
Very
the
good.
good. There is good in everything. I know sometimes it's hard to see it, but there is good in everything. And sometimes you need others to help you do that. And that's what I believe this summit is about.
That's excellent, Joel. So you have in we're going to just kind of recognize you. So you recognize those opportunities, but you just said it. You also need to recognize who you need. Who do you need
Yeah,
on the team? And
yeah,
I just love that you're this incredible generalist who has, one of his right hand guys been around 30 years.
yeah,
You haven't even you guys ain't you just been with you with you for 30 years, and you have other people on the team that are new, but you
yeah.
also recognize that there were people that just did not benefit the move. They didn't benefit, and then there's people that you may have to you had to move laterally.
Right.
They weren't, because I know some of them were
Yeah,
lateral movements, and they were good at that place, but they weren't excellent. So when you moved them laterally, you put them in the place of excellence.
yeah.
So you didn't just get rid of people.
No,
One of
no,
the things
no,
that
no.
I love is that when you have to make these tough choices. I remember calling you in 2008, and you said, "Man, Tracy, I'm making some tough choices. I have to." You actually took some cut yourself. You actually, because you said we're going to do this together. But one
Yeah,
of the things is you cut the fat. I mean, you cut the
yeah.
fat. A lot of it. You had 500,000 square feet of property.
Right.
You had all these old printing companies, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So this is so important that people know that there's going to be a lot of cutting and letting go of stuff, but there's going to be a lot of retaining and laterally moving.
yeah,
So let's talk about a little bit leadership stuff for a second.
yeah,
Just how do you recognize and realize who you realize you need somebody, you need
right.
people with you, you need a team,
Yeah.
but how do you recognize the kind of team you need or the people you need around you?
I think it all comes down to to culture and your personal
Good,
convictions. If you're a good leader,
good.
let's have that caveat that that you're wanting to create obviously a positive culture.
Yeah,
You want to do that at home.
yeah,
When my kids, when I married my wife and my two kids grew I never call them my stepkids because they're my kids.
that's right.
When my two kids were growing up and they'd go away every other weekend to a very negative situation and would come home, they would always say, well, we like being home with dad Joel better because there's peace in our home with dad Joel.
Yeah,
And there's safety and we feel secure here. And when we go away, we don't feel that.
yeah,
So there's a culture that you want to create, and it's got to, as a leader, it doesn't matter if you have three people on your team, or one person, or you want to have a person on your
yeah,
team. Uh, you've got to create that at starting at home,
yeah. Very good.
and create the culture that you want to see. And believe me, the things that you do and the way that you plan and the way that you communicate, that will flow down to them. Then there will be that one or two that absolutely will try to fight you on it. Well, those are the ones, it's like, okay, I've given you
Yeah,
6 months, I've given you a year. It's time, for you to exit. And those are still hard things to do
yeah, yeah,
because they're people, they're
yeah,
family.
yeah.
It's just not the right fit. It's just not the right place. But you can't have one person holding everything else back.
That's right.
I was not going to allow me reaching millions of people with a life-saving product because of one person.
Very good.
I was not going to let that happen. I have too much passion. I have too much fervor. I have too much drive and
Yeah,
determination to see people's lives changed and saved, to
that's
let that happen, to let one person destroy my vision and what I want to accomplish and what I'm called to do. Because we're all called to do something greater. We're
yeah,
all called to do something, to do good. Even in Ephesians 6, it says, the good that you do,
yeah.
God will do the same for you.
That's
So,
right.
so the good that we do is going to come back to us.
Yes,
God said he will do the very same thing that we do, he'll do for us.
that's
So
wonderful.
so so let's do good.
Yes,
Let's do something good. Now, maybe it's not cancer screening kits for all of us, but it could be making money. It
yeah,
could be employing someone. It,
yeah,
it could be creating a really great culture and a creative, collaborative culture where people's skills and giftings can be elevated and change lives and families.
yes.
There's so many good things that can come out of that. But Tracy, we were talking the other day about realizing you need others, but I want to turn that upside down today.
Mm.
Others need you.
Come on.
Others need you.
I love it.
They stop looking for what others can do for you. Stop looking for connections and networking, and I need to hook up with this person or that person, and realize, no, it's going to come through me.
Yes.
I'm going to bless
Yes.
someone.
Yes.
I'm going to add value to this customer, to this situation, to this company. You know what? I can't tell you how many times I've walked into, massive companies, and our company's not small, but it's not massive either. But I've walked into executive boardroom meetings, and I've been able to look around the room and have the president of one of those companies look to me and say, well, Joel, what do you think? And I said, well, I think you've got a great company, and I think there's some value that I can add to your company. And
Yeah.
here's some ideas that I think could really benefit you guys, not asking them for what I need. So let's don't look for to other people
Yes.
to give to us.
Yes.
Let's think about, just like what you said, Tracy, I think in the opening, I could have charged $400, but it's going to be free. You made up your mind, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give.
Yes.
Just like I said earlier, I'm going to do something good, because something good is going to come back to me.
Yes. Excellent.
And so looking, we're the ones, right?
Yes.
And you're the one.
Yeah.
You're the one who can transform someone's life and transform your situation by giving out. Do me a favor. Always have a story about what you've done for someone else.
Excellent.
Always. I don't care if it's a Christian setting, non-Christian setting, corporate setting. I always have a story about what we've done, what I've done for someone else, not what they've done for me. I want to have a million stories about what I've done for someone else. I don't want to have a story about, I was broke, busted, and disgusted, and somebody gave me a car. I want to be the one who said, you know what, I bought a car for that person. I was able to help that person. Well, Joel, we'll buy you a house. No, you can stay in one of my houses. I want to be the one. Let's be the one. I think that's what we're talking about this weekend. Let's be the one who does that, and that we build ourselves up to a level spiritually, physically, financially, emotionally, relationally, so that we can do more. And by doing that, then others will be attracted to that, and you'll go to another level. Why do you think people want to work with me, Tracy? People want to work with Joel Luce because they know he cares.
Yes.
They know he cares about what he's doing. They know he cares about them and their company and their success. By caring about their success, I have been successful.
Very good. Excellent, Joel. This is so powerful. I mean, look at it. I don't know if you can see the chat. The chat's just.
I'm not looking at them. I'd get too distracted to do that.
No, they're good. They're going. So I want to let's we're coming to the end here. Will you do this with me again at some point, Joe? I just love this.
Absolutely, man.
And I'm going to say this before I give you this last question. All right, actually, I will. So one of the last things I want to ask is, and in these, you had to reset your plan, right? Yeah. So we always go with a plan. We always start with a plan. When you bought ABG, you had a plan, but then you had to reset it. And then you had to, you had to go through these times of resetting your plan. That means do you throw away all of the previous plan, or do you just twist it, combine it, add to it? What do you do? How do you reset your plan?
I mean, that's a great question. It depends on the situation, the circumstances. There have been times when we every year we go away. My executive team and I go away to a farm in Texas for 2 days, lock ourselves in. I mean, there's literally, I have a picture of this cow pressing his face up against the glass, and I'm turning around looking at him. It's out in a pretty rural part of Texas, and we go there and we just hibernate, and we turn off the phones, turn off the email and all of that, and just sit there and we plan.
Wow.
And we think. I want to encourage everybody in maybe not that you haven't done it in 2020 or before, in 2021, take some time, even if it's only 30 minutes a week, and sit down in your office or your home in a quiet room, and just and I know you pray or you meditate and you read the Bible and all that, and I'm saying continue to do that, but just take 30 minutes with a notepad and a pen and just think.
So good.
Just go away and think.
Good.
And think about what it is that we can do differently this year. You know what the problems are. You know what the problems are in your finances. You know what the problems are in your family. You know what the problems are in your business or in your career. Think about those things on one side and then think about possible solutions. I know sometimes it sounds, other speakers and especially business people make it so complicated. It's not. I've, like I said, I've met with so many corporate business people and executives, and probably the reason they like working with me is I just tell them, here's what we're going to do, and here's the results we're going to get. And they're like, man, you just make it so simple. It's like, well, it is simple. Quit making it so difficult. You know, as you know, Tracy, I have people on my staff that have master's degrees and
Yeah.
all these other things, doctorates and all of that. Hey, I just want to let everybody know, I never graduated college. So don't think you're disqualified. I never graduated college. I told you I went through a bankruptcy, a divorce, and all of that other stuff, and I still made it. And so can you. But as a part of that, you've got to reset your plan, sometimes completely, but most of the time it's an adjustment.
Yeah.
You're just making an adjustment from year to year. But I want to encourage everybody, what we do, and here's 4 things that I want you to consider doing for 2021. I want you to consider putting together in writing your plan and your goals for 2021. I know you said, Joel, I've done that before. I've heard that before. No, this is different. I want you to listen to me. You know, for those of you who are believers, I want you to be inspired by the Holy Spirit of God to do this. Get alone for that 30 minutes a week, like I talked about, or maybe longer. Maybe, you know, Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, would spend 8 hours a week and do nothing but think and nothing but write down ideas and thoughts and notes. I literally have notebooks. I have a library of notebooks of notes that I have written for years and years and years, every single day. And I will write some more before this day's over. But I didn't used to be that way. I wasn't that way in my 20s. I wasn't that way necessarily so much in my 30s. But sometimes, you know, with age does come wisdom, but not always. But I would say this: the 4 things is have a vision and goals for people, process, partners, and performance. Now, what do I mean by people? I set out goals that are based on people. Now, in my goals and the vision I have for the people that are around me are my employees, my family. So what goals do I want to set for my family? What goals do I want to set for my relationships? What goals do I want to set for my employees or for those that are around me that I influence? So begin setting those goals right now for 2021. Make them measurable. Make them have a time on them.
Yeah.
You know, make them be attainable.
Yes.
Don't have some goal that's not even attainable. Has to be something that you can really, really realize. Now, if you mix in some faith with that, you may want to kick it up a notch.
Yeah.
The other is process. Think about process. You know, well, Joel, I'm not in business. You know, you have process goals. Hey, if something's not working in your life, the process is broken.
That's right.
So let's set a goal to fix that process. It could be in your finances. I have a spreadsheet of everything I do with my home finances. And you say, well, don't you have a CPA? Yeah, I got a CPA, and I got all those other people. But I control part of it, though. I don't let everybody control my money. But set a process.
I love it.
Set a process. Yeah, they don't all have your best interests in heart.
Come on.
But anyway, set a process goal this year. What is it in your life, a process, or maybe in your career that really needs to change? And you know what it is because it's the problem that bothers you all the time. It's the thing that keeps you up. And the other is partners. You know, who are my partners? My partners are my customers. My
Yeah.
partners are, and it could be if you're a nonprofit, it could be your actual giving partners. What is my goal for my partners this year? Tracy, you just had a great goal. Hey, I'm gonna give away 3 different things this year for free.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see our seminars move from 250 to 500 to 1,000.
Yeah.
From doing those things. But partner goals. I used to have investors until about 5 years ago. I had a goal for my investors every year for one of the companies they invested in. And my last goal, the last year I had my investors, was to get them out. I paid them off that last year, and that was my last goal, and now they're gone.
Yeah.
And so partner goals. Who do you partner with that can change your situation, your circumstances, professionally and personally? And then lastly, performance. What do I want to accomplish from a performance standpoint this year in my finances, in my personal life? What in my business, in my profession, where do it could be your education, it could be a number of things, but set specific goals. And what I do now is I break them down by quarter. The first 3 months of the year, I have certain goals. The second 3 months, the third, and the fourth, by quarter. And then you talk about adjusting along the way. Then I adjust them after each quarter as new information comes in and as things change. So do that. I know it sounds so simple, but you would be shocked at how many Fortune 500 companies don't do what I just told you.
Yeah.
They don't. You would be amazed at how did they get so big so fast? They go buy more companies. That's how.
Yeah.
But but I'm telling you the truth. If you're an entrepreneur like me, if you're starting from nothing like I did,
Very good.
and was a salesperson for many years, these are the things you have to do. Tracy, I want to finish with one thing. I had a goal to write a book, and you inspired me to do it. I hired a PR firm about a year ago, and I was able to hook up and got introduced to Jack Canfield. You may know that name.
Yeah.
He is the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I was invited to co-author a book, and it's really a chapter, but it's a start.
Yes.
I was to be able to co-author a chapter in his new book called Success.
Yes.
And it's like, my God, how did I get to this place? And I don't even have a college degree. And I'll tell you something funny. My old investors they were a New York hedge fund, and I'd have meetings with them in New York, and they would say, "Hey, where'd you get your master's degree from?" And I'm just like, "Master's degree?" And in the back of my mind, I'm saying, "Yeah, I got my master's degree from the master."
Yeah, from the master.
That's where I got my master's degree. I got my master's degree for pulling myself up by the bootstraps. But you know what? It's amazing what God will do and what God will turn and have the way that people look at you and the way people view you. When and they think you're an expert. But performance goals and all of that. And I'll finish with this, Tracy. I know we're running out of time. Is the difference between dreams and goals is time. Goals have a time stamp on them. Goals have an expiration date, I think I said earlier. And Tracy, you had made a comment, I think you posted it on social media a couple of years ago, and I just loved it. You said, dreams don't come true, decisions do.
Yeah.
So today, make a decision to do something just practical, set goals, do these things. Think about your personally and professionally. Excellent. What you can do to realize how to affect others, first, and then it'll come back to you. The good that you do, you will receive back.
Excellent. Joel,
I'm done.
You don't have no idea how inspiring this is. This is so powerful. Recognize where you are today, then you can put plans in place. The other thing is you cannot get to where you want to until you let go of something. And then all it takes, I love this, I wrote this down as a quote, all it takes is one jerk to hold you back from your destiny. No, but I wrote it down, I thought it was great. Joe, this has been rich. I mean, I can go through all of it. Culture, that's huge. That was huge. If you're going to, I think culture also helps you recognize when things need to pivot, need to change. But that culture also helps you recognize who's on the team, who's not on the team. That's just rich stuff. Um, always have a story about what I have done for someone else. That is huge. Always have a story for what you've done for someone else. And then this other one that you said is give space to think. Give some time to thinking. Plan it. Put it on your list. And make up in your mind. That's what you're going to do. You're going to go. I'm going to go away and think, and just give that time. And then the next is make adjustments. Make adjustments every year for this. You plan to make adjustments, and then you broke it down even further. Put it in writing this year is what we're going to do. So if you're listening, make sure you make notes. Put it in writing. You want to make sure you write, and then you're going to have goals and visions for these things, for people, process, partners, and your performance, right? The way your performance. So you want to make goals for those, and you want to do that. We're going to be doing a goal session here in the next week. I think next week it's on the 16th. I think is when it's planned. So everybody that's on here can jump on that. Then he says adjust them every quarter. He adjusts them every quarter. And difference between a dream and a goal is time. I mean, how much more wealth do you need to get out of this session? This is like, and I was taking notes crazy. This is awesome, Joel. Thank you, man. Thank you. Now, listen, I want you guys to know, Joel and I are going to, we're still working it out, but we're going to be doing an influencers accelerator in Orange County. And we're going to be doing that together. And if you know what that is, that's Power Pack. Now, that's an in-person one. That's not going to be the same as the online. In person is going to be a little bit different. You can't get that for $40, but you can get the online for $40. But the in-person one is a little bit more because it takes time. It takes intensity, and we have to give ourselves to that. But I want you to know, can you imagine Joel, Luce, myself, and then of course Colin is only an hour away. We can actually have some serious stuff happening in Orange County. If you're interested in being a part of that in-person, let me know between now and tomorrow. We're gonna give you some opportunities to do that. But if I lived in LA or anywhere in Orange County, I'd come and sit with Joel. I'd come and let him teach me stuff. I'd let him teach me, train me, and we're gonna do it right there in this beautiful facility there, so you get to walk around and see it. We just showed you a few pictures, but it's absolutely amazing. And when I was there a few weeks ago, I realized not only is this an amazing, beautiful company, but the culture that he set in his team is pretty awesome. I encountered a lot of people before Joel was there. He was out, and he was going to meet me there. I mean, but when I encountered the people, they all were very high level, high individual, high class, but an amazing culture in the organization there that he's building. So culture is everything. Joel, you are absolutely a rock star. You're one of my best friends. And I love you so much. I love Jamie. Jamie's amazing. My wife, she's like, when do we go on vacation with you? Jamie, Joe. So we got to make that happen, or else I'm going to be in trouble. I shouldn't make that voice because she's probably listening. She's probably thinking, I don't sound like that. But because he always says, I don't sound like that. I don't have her accent down really well. Joel, you are a blessing. You are a blessing. Your heart comes through. Your heart comes through. I mean, you really have not only you're passionate, you're driven, and you're powerful, but you really have a solid, just sincere heart. And I just want you to know that's pretty powerful. I mean, you carry something. That's what a lot of comments were. Is, we love your heart. We love your heart, your sincerity, your heart for God, your heart for people, your heart for making things happen in the kingdom of God. And you brought your best to us today. And we're super, super thankful. Any last things you want to say before we jump off?
No, just thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. It was great seeing everybody. Enjoy tomorrow. I know it's going to be great. I'll be tuning in as well. Our friend Rabbi Lappin will be on there tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Yeah. I know it's going to be great. And just thanks again. I appreciate all of you that attended today, and all of you that will see this in the future.
Yeah. And I tell you guys, again, this is Joel to me is like the same is Colin. They have a voice. I think the voices, as you can tell right now in the marketplace, in the world, business leaders have a large voice. It's equal to the voice of politicians right now. So we need to get our business leaders rising up. It's a quick way to influence. Get more money into our business leaders that have character and have virtue and values like Joel. And then he can be the Elon Musk. He can be the voice for us in this next season, because the voice of the businessman is not going to get quiet. Bill Gates is not the only one. Elon Musk, all these people, Riddles, they are not going to be Ripples. They're not going to be the only voices out there. We have to have our voices that rise, but it's not going to be politicians. It's going to be business leaders. And so, because they're generalists like Joel. And I just release over you, Joel, that you are going to step into that season where you're going to have such influence through the wealth that you create, through the teams that you build, through the businesses you build, to have a international voice, a world and international voice, that people are going to listen to you because of your voice. But the same character you brought out today, business doesn't separate from your king. And that is what the world's going to need. So I just released that anointing and a blessing on you. Can we all open up and just say a big thank you? Come on, open up your mics and say a big thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
Joel.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Joel.
That was amazing.
Bless you, Joel.
Oh,
God bless you.
Bless you.
Thank
Bless
you.
you.
thank you.
You've been awesome, man.
Thank
I
you.
love you. Love, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Thank you. We need more,
Thank you.
Joel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you again, Joe. How many of you guys, did you enjoy yourself today?
Yeah,
Listen,
Definitely.
that was awesome. Learned a lot.
Yes, it's very, very fascinating.
So
Enjoyed
great.
it a lot.
invite someone to tomorrow.
Very valuable.
They can watch the
So powerful.
thank you, everybody. They can watch the replays in the Facebook group. Don't forget the replay is in the Facebook group. If you're not a part of the Facebook group, go ahead and join that. If you have received emails, you'll have the link for that, and just make sure you get into that. We're going to our next level, Tanya. We're going to our next level, and man, I'm telling you, tomorrow we're going to get it. We're not going to have a break tomorrow, so you're going to have 4 hours just locked and loaded. So get your pack a lunch, have your coffee next to you, whatever you need to get going. And if Joel's on there, I might pull a little for him. We'll see. I'll see who's on there. I might pull a little something. We'll see. I'll see what I can pull, because I am not done with that Joel Luce guy. I like that guy. I can listen to him just all day long. I love doing business and life with that guy. So anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, wonderful night. Go to church tomorrow, and then jump on the call at 1 o'clock. We'll see you tomorrow, just right and sharp. We're gonna get in 1 o'clock with me, and then we're gonna get in with Rabbi Lappin at 1:30. All right, so let's see you tomorrow. Don't forget, invite some family, friends, people. See you tomorrow. God bless everyone.
Thank you.